has created a telling read that puts a spotlight on one of the most gruesome stories to come out of South Africa. The Griekwastad Murders unfolded like a Hollywood movie. In 2012, the Northern Cape Town was shook by a murder like no other. Jacques joins me here in studio. Jacques, thank you very much for joining me here on Morning Line.
Thanks for having me, sir.
A lot of us at home would have forgotten what the story was about. Just kind of clue us in just a little bit.
Basically, on the 6th of April 2012, this triple murder rocked Griekwastad, a small northern Cape Town. There's nothing like 4 murders in the area. A 15-year-old boy at the time, ran into the police station covered in blood, and he shouted, "They were all dead, they were all dead." So obviously the police thought it was a 4 murder. Everybody, the whole Kimberley police contingent, were all rushed down to Griekwastad. Everybody went to the farm, and there were helicopters in the air, there were dog units. They tried to find the killers. And it later emerged it was actually the son, the boy that ran into the police station, that he was the murderer, that he, killed his entire family.
This is such a weird story. Before we even touch on the actual story, how did you come to break the story?
I was actually working for reports at the time before I joined the SABC, and I actually have I've got contacts everywhere. Like I'm a crime journalist, and one of the right-wingers, obviously when this thing broke in Griekwastad, everybody shouted for murder. You know how the right-wingers are. So I got a call from one of Eugene Blanche's his nephew, I believe, and he told me about this. So straight away we broke the story on Twitter, and I went out there and I started investigating it.
One of the things that you get, obviously as a journalist you've got to be professional, but you get a sense that this shook you to your core. What was it about the story that touched you personally?
I think it's just the fact I'm a father, I've got 2 kids, and that your own child can turn around and do this. This boy actually raped his sister, and then he killed the whole entire family. And as a parent, realizing that your own child can do that, you will never suspect it. It's scary.
Jacques, this is the perfect family. You had a successful father, you had a mom who was in her own right very successful in the baking business, and she was involved in community. She had a beauty queen daughter. The son wasn't doing too badly himself. And from every aspect, from every vantage point outside, it looked like they were the perfect family. And that's almost the sense you also, when you read the story, everybody thought so too.
Yeah, there's still people today that believe he's innocent. His close family members that's protecting him, that's saying it wasn't him. They refuse to believe that he did this. But I covered the entire trial as well, and I spent months following this boy across the country. But especially during the trial when he testified, if you listen to his testimony, you can read the book, and I have some transcripts of that. If you listen to what he said, there's no doubt in my mind that it was him. It's crazy to think that, but it was him. I don't know what went through his head to do that, to actually pick up a gun, kill your entire family, and actually go back to the safe and get another gun, and make sure they're all dead.
You start off in your foreword, or I think it's just after your foreword, you start off by explaining how we perceive children in particular age groups, and how children after a certain age group will be prosecuted like the way adults would. Why was that so important to start off with creating and setting that scene for us?
It's because of his age at the time. It was so frustrating covering this case because he was 15 at the time the murders happened, and we all knew he was a suspect. I think 6 months later he was charged, but up until his 16th birthday as well, when he became formally charged and he was arrested, we weren't allowed to mention him, even up until the point he turned 18. Because of the Child Protection Act, we couldn't identify him. So I wrote a book initially. You didn't mention his name. I just wrote it as a child and stuff like that because the law protected him as a child offender. Therefore, I had to explain to the reader, why we couldn't identify him. And at the end, basically, we unmask him and we say, no, he was the killer. But it was so difficult and frustrating to report on this the whole time because you knew who he was, but you couldn't make no reference to his identity because you'll be in so much trouble because of the law.
There's something that I picked up in the beginning of the book. Everybody, from the lady who ran the restaurant, hotel, from Scholz, the neighbor farmer, he's the neighbor on the farm next to it. All of them noticed something that was out of context. She, for example, noticed the way the boy was reacting, the fact that he wanted to call his best friends. Everybody picked up something, but they just couldn't clue into it.
Yeah, well, I think with regards to that, I think the investigating officer Dick Duvall did a great job. I mean, when he first sat down with the boy, he noticed the scratch marks in his neck and little things like that. And he's actually the one, that sent him, and he's noticed the boy texting the whole time, and all that kind of stuff he picked up on, and that he used basically to build a case. But the boy told several lies to different people, like you say. His version changed the whole time, and that's what caught him at the end as well.
In the intro, we talk about a Hollywood story. This is actually on the movie option at the moment.
Yes, Dion Meyer, know, is a world-renowned crime author. His company, Career Films, optioned the film last year. I'm basically writing the draft, the screenplay for it. I'm on my second draft currently. So I'm sure early next year sometime the movie will be released. And
you're going to be a very busy man. Jacques Steenkamp, thank you very much for joining us here in the studio. Author and journalist, talking to us about his offering, the Griekwastad Murders, which unpacks the details related to a gruesome murder in 2012 in the Northern Cape. Watch out for the movie. He's also busy with a second book, I should say. Okay, we're taking a break.